Raider Nation, get ready for a wild few hours. You have a draft class that barely saw the field, and the message from that goes way deeper than you think. You have two names fighting their way into the conversation for the future of the offense. The offensive line is now priority number one, with a free agency target right in the spotlight. And the hunt for the next headman has names that hit the fan base right in the chest. Stay with me, because the last one is heavy. But before we break down every detail, subscribe to the channel. And use the comments like the stands for real. Drop your message. I want your take right there with the rest of the fan base. I swear I kept looking at this season thinking, how did almost nobody from that new group truly show up? We watched the team sink, loss after loss, and the rookies only started getting real snaps when everything was already on fire. And here's the part that stings, that lands right on the staff's work. The name that became the symbol of enough is enough was Pete Carroll, who got dropped after just one season. But I'm not buying the idea of, so the 2025 draft was a disaster. Relax. The guy steering the plan now is GM John Spytek, and he's talking about doubling down on this class. Like, instead of tossing these kids to the side, he wants to build the next step of the roster around them. That tracks, because development is reps and opportunity. Without that, even real talent turns into a ghost. And when you look at the names, you understand the stubborn hope. Ashton Jeanty had no room to breathe with that offensive line letting everything through. Jack Beck and Donnie Thornton were stuck in an offense that always felt a beat late. And Caleb Rogers, when he got his chance, showed at least there's a fight in the trenches. The truth is, the line was a cracked wall all year. Without a foundation, no playbook can save you. I laughed out of nerves a few times, I'm not gonna lie. And then comes the part I like and the part that makes me mad at the same time. Spytek said he's proud of the class and that the big jump usually happens in year two. Cool. But that jump only happens if the team stops winging it and fixes the basics. There's money to move around. There's draft capital. People are talking about a bunch of picks and plenty of cap space. That becomes an obligation, not an excuse. The path, to me, is simple to see. Put proven veterans on the offensive line. Build depth, too, because injuries happen. Then you give Jeanty a chance to run and the passing game a chance to exist. And if the franchise is taking a quarterback high in the next draft, that guy cannot walk into a turnstile. Otherwise, it's the same trauma in silver and black. Around here, we read this the way only Raiders fans read it, no filter. It's not delusional fan talk. It's seeing that the bigger problem wasn't the class's talent. It was the environment. Now, if the line improves and the plan is clear and these guys still don't answer the bell, then the conversation changes fast and it gets ugly. Tell me in the comments. Do you believe that 2025 group can still flip the switch, or have you already lost faith? Because the next story runs straight into a college name everybody's talking about, and there are big voices saying he shouldn't even leave yet. That's when the debate catches fire. A huge wave of pressure is coming because the team is sitting at the very top of the draft board, and at the same time, you can feel the fear of getting it wrong again. The word behind the scenes is that this time, the decision runs through a duo that carries serious weight in the franchise's direction. Tom Brady and John Spytek. And when you're trying to find the guy to lead the offense, you don't mess around. But it's not always take the first name on the list and call it a day. The Raiders are going to get calls from everywhere asking to trade for that high pick. People will offer crazy packages. Still, the read a lot of folks have is simple. If you're in that spot, it's because you need to solve quarterback. And running from that is just kicking the problem down the road. That's where a name on the radar starts stirring the whole debate. Dante Moore from Oregon. He's talented. He's got an arm. He's got presence. But there's a league-wide question about how much he's really been tested for real. It's not just, I like the kid or I don't like the kid. It's sample size. It's consistency. It's watching him deal with big games, tight moments, and ugly nights. Even I get stuck in that, hold on, maybe, and then I bounce right back with, but what if he's the guy? It twists your brain, and it's not just me. You've had major media voices say flat out that if it were up to them, Moore would go back to school. The idea is he can get paid now and mature for another year. The main point is this: the NFL does not forgive shortcuts. And when an analyst puts it on the table like, I haven't seen enough to call him can't miss, that matters because the Raiders aren't picking a project to look good on paper. They're picking the face of the franchise. What I do like about this is that at least it feels like the Raiders are doing their homework with more seriousness. No falling in love with 3 highlight plays. It's interviews, it's conversations, it's learning how the guy thinks, and it's also aligning expectations with the roster. If the team is going to overhaul the offensive line and tweak the scheme, that context changes how you evaluate a quarterback. One guy can look ordinary with no protection. Another can look like a star behind a wall. Now, what cannot happen is sitting on the fence and making a panic pick. Because if Brady and Spytek are really driving this together, a firm decision has to come out of it. And it has to be a decision the fan base in silver and black can look at and say, okay, there's a plan here. And hold up, because the next one brings the other side of the coin. There's a quarterback flying right now, stacking awards and big games and getting treated like the favorite to be the first name called. That's when things really heat up. Then you get to the part that makes a fan's head spin. Because when you have the top pick, everybody turns into an expert overnight, and I get it. We're tired of promises that never turn into anything. But there's something that has a lot of college football people fired up. There's a quarterback playing like the game has slowed down for him. The name driving that conversation, and the one the Raiders have been watching closely, is Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. And what stands out isn't just the arm or the number on the scoreboard, it's how he runs a game. He reads the field. He changes the call. He doesn't panic when the first option disappears. I'm going to be really honest right now. That's the kind of thing that forces hope back into you, because you can't buy leadership in free agency. His season turned into a major showcase. Big games, pressure, high stakes, and when people say he got better as the year went on, I can see it. He doesn't look like the same guy from the beginning. There's growth in his processing. There's more calm going from the first read to the third. That's gold in the NFL. And what's crazy is sometimes I catch myself thinking, no way we're really watching this. Then I breathe and tell myself, slow down, Derek. It's still evaluation. There's been analyst talk saying exactly that. The game feels easier when a guy prepares, when he understands what he has to execute, when he doesn't go into panic mode. And that's where Mendoza earns points, because the Raiders don't just need talent. They need someone who can hold up when the line fails, when the stadium is demanding answers, when the locker room is uneasy. And the fan base in silver and black knows how heavy that gets. Now, you also can't sell him as an automatic savior. The team still has holes everywhere. Offensive line, depth, consistency. If the Raiders take any quarterback and drop him into a turnstile, it's the same trauma all over again. So the right question is, if it's him, will the plan protect him and put him in position to win? Because then it makes sense. And I want you on this one. What's your read on Fernando Mendoza as the guy to lead this turnaround? Hit me in the comments, because this debate is going to own the entire offseason. Now stay with me, because the conversation shifts from the draft to the checkbook. There's a free agency target who could solve a massive problem on the line. And it's the kind of name that hurts if you miss. You know what really gets on my nerves? We spend the whole year trying to figure out the offense, and in the end, the answer is obvious. Without a real offensive line, nothing stands up. You can swap coordinators. You can invent a scheme. If the pocket collapses and the run game isn't a threat, it's over. And this offseason, the talk inside the team is clear. That unit has to be rebuilt the hard way. After the Pete Carroll firing, the franchise is back in full rebuild mode again, and then everybody looks at Patrick Graham and wonders, does he stay or go? It depends on the next head coach, but honestly, that becomes a side note if the line keeps leaking. The part that stands out is the Raiders already have 2 pieces that look solid. Colton Miller is reliable, and Caleb Rogers showed something when he got his chance. The problem is everything else. That's at minimum 3 spots begging for answers, and you can't expect a miracle from rookies alone. You need proven veterans and you need depth. That's where the target being labeled as the obvious fix comes in. Tyler Linderbaum, the Ravens center. I know it sounds like a dream, but it makes sense. He's one of those guys who moves well. He pulls, he gets to the second level, and he changes how an offense runs the ball. And a great center is the heart of the whole thing. He sets protections, he calms the quarterback. Without that, it turns into chaos in the huddle. The wrinkle is that the 2026 free agency class could be thinner because so many players around the league just got extensions. And that's exactly why when a name at this level hits the spotlight, he becomes target number 1 for teams with cap space. And the Raiders have room to spend. It's not spending just to spend, it's investing in the right place. I even blurted out, "This is it," to myself, then laughed, because we've been fooled before. Out of Baltimore, the message is that they want to keep him, but a heavy offer can shake everything up. If the Raiders come in above market, they put the Ravens in a bind. And if Baltimore doesn't match it, that's it. You change the standard of the line in one move. Then the ripple hits everybody. The run game improves, the play action becomes real, and any quarterback who shows up, whether through the draft or otherwise, benefits. But this also becomes a posture test for the front office, because you can't talk big and then get cheap on the exact piece that gives the offense structure. This fan base in silver and black can take a lot of punishment, but when it sees a coherent plan, it buys into the fight. Now hold on, because the next story is the one that hits the locker room and the fan base hardest. The list of head coaching candidates is already circulating. Interviews are happening, and the way this choice gets made can define the direction of everything. This has turned into one of those storylines where you wake up and there's a new episode. The Raiders fired Pete Carroll at the end of the season, and just like that, the franchise is searching for a head coach again, like it's searching for air. A fourth head coach in 4 seasons is insane. And I say that with love and frustration at the same time, because just win, baby, doesn't fit a carousel. The difference now from what's being said is that John Spytek will truly be involved in the process, and alongside him, Tom Brady. That changes the weight of the decision, because if football leadership is aligned, at least you know who's accountable for the plan. It doesn't feel like everyone pulling in a different direction, and there are already names being talked about with interviews done or requested. Ejiro Evero shows up from the defensive side, Matt Nagy from the offensive side, Kevin Stefanski pops back onto the radar, Vance Joseph too. Then there's Davis Webb, Mike LaFleur, Clint Kubiak, Jesse Minter, and more names that could push hard, like Robert Saleh, Joe Brady, Brian Daboll, Brian Flores, Chris Shula. That's a lot of options, and that's good and dangerous. Good because there's real inventory. Dangerous because you can miss by picking the hot name instead of the right fit. What I want is simple: identity. The Raiders have to pick someone who sets a standard and holds the line when losses hit, because they will. The roster is still thin. And a rebuild doesn't finish in a month. If the coach walks in and immediately clashes with the front office, it's over before it starts. And then there's a quote from Spytek that, to me, says a lot. He said, even in relationships, 2 people don't agree all the time. He even joked about his wife. But he also said they talked it out. They got aligned. And he's taking responsibility for it not working. To be honest with you, that's the part I respect. It doesn't fix everything by itself, but it shows he understands you can't repeat chaos. Now, what the fan base in silver and black is going to demand is consistency. If you're drafting a quarterback high or betting on a big college name, the head coach has to be the right guy to develop that. Otherwise, it's wasted talent and another year thrown away. And I'm not even getting into play calling yet. First is philosophy, then come the details. I've got a weird feeling right now. Half hope. Half, I've seen this movie, because the list is strong. But the final choice is what separates a real reset from another painful chapter. And that's why when you combine the draft, the offensive line, and a new head coach, this offseason becomes the biggest one in a long time. This can flip the switch, this can sink the whole thing, and it pulls us into a bigger reflection on where the Shield really stands today. Man, when you put all of this together, you can feel how heavy the moment is. A draft class that still needs time. 2 quarterbacks being evaluated as the future of the franchise. An offensive line screaming for immediate answers, and a head coaching decision that can connect the dots or blow it up again. This is not a normal offseason. This is a crossroads. The Raiders aren't just choosing names, they're choosing identity. Either they build something with logic, patience, and courage, or they spin their wheels for another year, and this fan base in silver and black is tired of empty promises. It wants a plan. It wants direction. It wants to feel like just win, baby, still means something. Now I want you. Drop it in the comments, because this space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes Raiders football. What worries you most right now? The quarterback, the line, or the coach? Let's talk like it's the stands.